Go ahead and call this meeting to order. First item is pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item is approval of October 3rd minutes.
I make a motion that we approve the October the 3rd minutes as presented.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, do I have a motion and a second? Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Okay. The next item is to approve the October general operating financial report. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the financial statement as presented.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Okay. Next item is approval of October financial statement. As far as the FEMA funds.
I make a motion that we approve the financial statement for the FEMA funds.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, under old business, Heritage Days update.
Well, I'm very proud of this moment. It took us 25 years, but this year we actually made a profit on Heritage Days. To the tune of $941.18, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Where'd my sheet go? I have, it cost, $5,088.82 to put on Heritage Days, and we collected $6,030 for Heritage Days. And a part of that was over $2,000 in donations that we received. We had a lot of vendors who paid dearly to be here, and I will have to say that, and Audrey was one of them that brought it up, even though it rained on Saturday, Audrey said that was the best Saturday they'd ever had during Heritage Days. All of our vendors were very pleased, other than one got upset because we opened the road back up when it started pouring down rain. But, you know, can't please everybody. But anyway, I'm just proud to report that we did clear profit this year, and we are already booking for next year. I've already turned down some for next year because they are retail, but we're already getting people calling. And our Facebook page has just been lit up with people sharing the next year's. So next year, hopefully, will be even bigger and better than this year. But I thank everybody who helped. I thank everybody who attended. And we look forward to doing it all again next year.
Okay. Next item is court system.
Okay. We feel that we are in the position that we need to establish a town court system. The most economical way to do that for us is to, and we are allowed to by our charter, is to contract with the Pickens County Magistrate Court and they will handle all court proceedings, including a judge, and taking care of the paperwork. In working with them, I met with Judge Wigginton, and standard across the state, we would get to keep any fines that were collected, with the exception of, and this is a state law, is that 10% of all fines have to go to the county for a jail fund. But that's all counties everywhere. Even the county has to put in so much for the jail fund. The going rate is $50 a month for this service, which I think is phenomenal, because it takes a lot to hire personnel and go to classes to learn how to handle the court records and all. So, according to Judge Allen, all we need to do is do an ordinance stating that we are going to go into a contractual agreement with the magistrate court.
Okay.
It would be enforced by the sheriff, even though we have the ability to do a town marshal, but that's not economical for us either. So the best deal is just let the sheriff enforce it and let the magistrate court take care of the legal proceedings.
Okay.
So I guess my question is, do we want to make a motion to go into that, to do the ordinance, to go into that contractual agreement? What do y'all think? Melissa, Adrian?
So they would handle everything
Mm-hmm. Yes.
for $50 a month.
Yep.
If we didn't, we would have to have our
We
own.
would have to hire a judge. We would have to, somebody would have to go to school to learn how to take care of those documents,
So
because that's a whole different ball game there. So, and you would pretty much have to have somebody here full-time, because that's not something that people would be expecting, just be able to go 3 days a week in the afternoon to be able to file or whatever. That's why I said it's more economical for us to let them do that.
Jeff, your opinion on that?
Definitely the way to go. I mean, it gets expensive. You'd spend probably in one person what you're gonna spend in a year.
Yeah.
So that's a very good option when you have, not frequent ordinance violations and problems.
Exactly.
If they're willing to do it, that's a pretty good deal.
Okay, do we,
So you want me to make it?
well, we want to make sure, we need to add this line item to the budget and actually add the funding to that, so that we need to do that in this motion or under the budget discussion.
Whenever. I mean, you could do it if you want to go. I mean, if you want to go ahead and add it to the budget. Are you going to vote on the budget tonight,
Well,
or just have a public hearing?
just public hearing, because we actually need to have one more before we pass it.
So whenever, you can vote on that part of it whenever. If you just vote to move forward with it, we'll get the ordinance prepared and whatever agreement they want.
Okay, I make a motion that we enter into, that we adopt an ordinance allowing us to go into a contractual agreement with the Pickens County Magistrate Court in order to handle all of our court proceedings.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, any discussion? If not, all in favor? Okay, the next item is, under new business, is public comments and vote on the 2020 budget. We will not be voting on that budget until next month at our regular meeting. We'll also have a public hearing at that time also. So at this time, do I obtain a motion to add, I guess, court, under administration and court services? Would that be a good thing, court services?
Okay, I make a motion that we add a line item of court services for $600 a year under the administration fees.
What if you do 1,000, just make sure, I don't know if anything, if we have to pay for the sheriff's office to serve papers.
That's true.
Yeah, I do.
That's true.
I mean,
Alright, then I amend my motion to do, a line item for $1,000. Add it to the administration, budget,
line item,
yeah,
budget line item, court services.
yeah.
Okay. Have a second?
A second.
Okay. Have any other discussion? If not, all in favor? Okay. Is there any public comments on the proposed 2020 budget? Okay. We will have to add the splash because what I've got listed here is the 2014, which will be ended in June of next year. So that is, you know, that take care of that. But then we'll have to, I'll have to add and try to figure out what we're going to be taking in from the 2019, I guess you would call it, or maybe 2020 splash. So we'll have to add that to this item here, because I didn't have it because I didn't know what it would be.
And we didn't know if it was gonna pass.
Okay. So if there's no further discussion, any comments, that we'll move on. Next item is variance request by Shadow Creek.
Your thoughts? Or you want me to start?
No, I mean, I'll do. I mean, 'cause this is a variance for Shadow Creek. And this is just my thoughts, and y'all can add or remove anything that you want to do. First would be a building and fire safety code compliance inspection. Second would be move the chain link fence back off the right of way. You can't maintain the road. I mean, it's just, I mean, I bet it's not even a foot off the roadway, right of way. So, like I said, the road will be maintained. And then 3 would be the removal of farm animals. Jeff, that is actually a ordinance.
Right, you're only allowed to have household pets.
So,
And that's not something new, that's something that's been on the book. Okay, here are my thoughts. Number one, yes, I know they lived there before, but I cannot find in our records anywhere, they should have had a variance then in order to live there. There should have been a variance as to the farm animals that were there before. I do have an issue with the building safety. And I know why Randy was asking that it not be covered up was because I noticed and he noticed that there was some boards and under that floor that once they took that end board off that you could see that were, did not look like they were in very good shape. They need to be replaced, but the end board got covered up. We didn't get to do a full inspection. But I know, yes, we've done a lot of remodeling here. We did not move a lot of walls in order to do that. That side over there has remained the same. We did take and do a firewall around the fire trucks. It's state code. You know, you got to have it. Before, we weren't that up on it, but now that we have a fire marshal on board, he informed us that we had to do that. So we did. I don't understand why people expect us to just grant the variance when it's clearly against state law. I mean, they plainly state that it's got to be brought up to code in order for somebody to live there. I have a problem with it being turned into residential because this is a commercial district. And if we continue, I think we would be setting a precedence of letting people live on the commercial side, on the commercial district, and then soon wants to stop somebody from turning the downstairs into a residence too. Then we wind up with no businesses in town. I just think we're setting a precedence that does not need to be set under those guidelines. Number two, the chain link fence, yes. The guys cannot properly maintain that road back there. I don't understand why it was put that close to the road. I wasn't in office then. I don't know why things were done the way they were done. And I'm not throwing anything at anybody. Please understand, I'm not. I'm just stating I don't understand. The farm animals, I personally have had complaints because the chickens get out, they scratch up other people's yards, and then they have to go and replace their pine straw and stuff. They, for lack of a better term, they poop on the sidewalks. And I have witnessed twice someone almost getting rear-ended. This is not, please understand, this is not a little country road out here. This is a main state highway. And I have been down here twice and walked out and watched somebody, because what happens is they're coming down the hill and you got these big trucks flying down through there, y'all know that. Well, then that chicken pops out in the middle of the road. Well, this lady automatically slammed on her brakes. Well, it was all that truck could do to stop before he hit her. So to me, that is...
They could have just as easily done somebody's dog in the road.
True, but we have a leash law in town.
Oh, okay.
Okay? I'm not saying that everybody abides by it, but we do have a leash law. Okay?
Or a cat.
Well, it could have been.
Okay.
But this is a farm animal that does not belong in a commercial district. I'm sorry. There's nothing that
We
that
understand
says.
you don't want the chickens in, that's okay. I consider the chickens like a tomato plant. They
No.
lay eggs, I eat their eggs. And I do have some chickens that fly over the fence. I have been trimming wings and culling the flock.
They're not
Okay,
doing, I'm
hold
sorry,
on.
they're
I
not.
understand if the chickens have to go, I can work through that, Randy. I mean,
Well,
let's move on, what else?
Okay, and because of your comment, I'm gonna say this, your chickens are not flying over the fence, they're coming out by the gate. I've seen it, so there. But that's my opinion. I do not wanna set the precedence of this turning into a residential area and us losing our commercial, because here's what's gonna happen. What if the next person that owns a business here comes in and says, well, hey, we want to turn half of it into a house and we want to live here full time. Well, then next thing you know, it's the whole building. And so I just don't want to lose our commercial standing on Main Street. That's my thoughts.
Well, conjecture is just conjecture, it doesn't
Hold-
mean it's
hold-
gonna come
Public
true.
hearing's over.
the public hearing
Sorry,
is
the
over.
public hearing is over.
Oh, I apologize, sorry.
You're
Andrew?
speaking about
No,
my property.
no, I mean, no comment.
You will have a chance, okay? Right now, this is our time to speak our opinion.
Pardon me.
Andrew?
I understand like what Cheryl's saying. And I understand what they're saying.
Can I just inform you all of one thing? All of the cooking and the laundry and everything is downstairs.
Well, that's even more dangerous.
That's even, yeah,
It's downstairs where the store is.
exactly.
It's more
That's
dangerous.
more, even more dangerous.
Okay, so anyway, like I say, that's, you know, please. Melissa?
State law is state law, I'm sorry, but
It's probably like a rock and a hard place. You don't wanna throw somebody out of their home. I think if they abide by these guidelines that we have, put forth in front of them, then I understand we shouldn't, it is a commercial area, but, I mean,
Well, we put in zoning for a reason, you know, and every county, every city has zoning. And that's, you know, that's why you try to separate, you know, residential from commercial. You try to separate industrial well away from residential.
which I totally understand.
So that's that point, you know. And I'm not saying for this variance, but then you start giving variances and then all of a sudden you've got a snowball. Now, I'm not saying I'm against it, that, but I'm just saying that's, you know, I've been involved in some of that elsewhere. But like I say, my biggest thing is the fire safety of the building. That's my,
well, my biggest thing is, like you said, we put in these guidelines for a reason. Because some of the people that live in this area wanted to keep the aesthetics that they have. If we are not going to abide by these rules that were plainly, public hearings was had, we went through the whole step. If we're not gonna abide by them, what's the point in doing it, is my question. I mean, if you're just gonna, let everybody do what they wanna do, then the next thing you know, we're gonna have a big mess. And you're not gonna be able to control anything. Because once you do it for one person, then the next person wants to do it, and then and you have no reason to say no, because they're gonna come back and say, well, you let them, against what you said. But that's the reason why we worked so hard to put these in place years ago. Back in 1998, I believe is when we first did this. That's the reason why, because we had some development coming in, and we wanted to be able to control what was going on in our neighborhood.
And during that time, there's a ordinance that says that residential is separate from commercial.
We passed the zoning that this down here is commercial. And that's why, and I understand they lived there before, but they moved away. And it plainly states they have to have a variance. But in that time frame is when we have to abide by state law, and, just like Randy said, we cannot choose to ignore state law.
Right.
As an entity, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but the law's there for a reason.
but
And
now,
our ordinance is there for a reason.
but now that's just on building. We do our own zoning, so like I say, just clarify that, and like I say, if it was a hardship, my understanding is that there's not a mortgage on the property, is that correct?
Sorry?
There's not a mortgage on the property?
No.
Okay. If there was a mortgage and hardship, I could possibly understand it a little bit better, given a temporary variance, we can give a year variance, 6 months variance, but, to me, now like I say, I don't have a vote or anything in this, but as a citizen, that you have an option to lease that to somebody for a store and take the income off of that to, you know, have a residence somewhere else, but that's. But,
Sorry?
I mean, you might laugh, but you know,
There's an American flag out there.
we,
Thank you.
like I say, the fire safety codes is real heavy, that is weighing, and we can't not, give a variance on that. So, that is one condition that the city council can't give them.
It's HC.
So do I obtain a motion if they meet these, conditions of the variance?
A motion for what? What are you asking for?
If the property owners, meets the conditions for this variance, are we gonna grant them the variance?
I do not agree to that because it does not follow our code. And I have a problem with us having a code that we've made everybody else live by, and then now we change it. How many variances are you willing to give?
No, wait a minute, now, like I say, I don't have a vote.
Well, that's
in
my
this.
question. I mean,
I
how
don't
many,
have a vote.
how many variances are we willing to give to people down the road? Because this is gonna could start a snowball effect of having to give variances.
Okay, alright, so basically, all I'm asking is, any member of this council, do I have a motion for if the Shadow Creek meets the conditions of the variance, that they'll be granted a variance? Okay. Lack of a motion, we'll move on to,
Well, ideally, there would be a vote on it one way or another, so if there's not gonna be a motion to approve, there'd be a motion to deny.
I make a motion that we deny. That's my personal opinion based on our state, on our city code. And state code.
Is there a second to that motion?
yeah, is there a second?
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Okay, passes.
Sherry, you have shadow too, right? Oh my God.
Nice smile, huh? You told me that there would be no problem passing this variance before we moved in.
No, I did not.
Yes, you did, standing right up there on Pomona Street.
No, I did not.
Excuse me.
Thank you.
Shame on all of you.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
shame on
Shame
all
on
of
you.
you. Audrey and Steve support Talking Rock more than anybody
Ma'am.
I've ever seen. And you're,
Excuse me, but you're talking out of line.
oh, excuse me.
You need to take that flag down. Take the flag down.
Okay, next item on the agenda is set a budget for the Christmas program. We didn't have a budget for this year, with a line item. Like I say,
I make a motion that we set the budget for the profit that we made off of Heritage Days, $941.18. That way there's nothing coming out of the budget, or out of your general fund.
okay.
That should be more than enough.
With that, do you want to buy another live tree, or do you want to actually, or wait till next year and buy an actual artificial tree that we can have from year to year?
Well, I've done my research on these artificial trees, and they're very expensive, as you know.
Well, they
And
are.
some of them come with lots, but from what the research that I have done, reading people's comments, is that they don't last as long as they say they will, and that the lots go out long before they tell you that they're going to.
Well,
so,
I mean, that's any lot. I mean,
Right, but that's what I'm saying, do we want to put that much money into an artificial tree?
Well, that's what I'm asking. I mean, I just.
Well, here's my thought, are we gonna spend more buying a live tree than we would buying an artificial tree and have to replace it in 5 years?
Well, but
So that's 5 years. I mean, I don't even.
Yeah, but these
How much
trees,
is a tree?
over
Maybe that's-
$1,000.
well, now some of them are. Now you can find some that's, you know, or do you buy a I mean, not really they specify it being outdoor, but if you spend $200 and get 5 years out of it.
Yeah, now that I wouldn't have a problem with.
Versus
but
say, you
these,
know, versus $75 to $100 a tree.
well,
you know,
it usually
if we-
runs us, to get our big
you
one,
know.
it's 110 to 120, is what we usually pay for our tree.
That's what I'm trying to get at. I mean, I'd like to try to get something that will last a little
But
longer.
we need to do it after Christmas.
Okay. All right.
Cause if you
So-
did it now, you're gonna pay full price, but if you go after Christmas, you could probably get about, well, Michael's has got a great sale on now, like 70% off.
Okay.
So if you wanna do that, I don't mind going looking for one.
Well, like I say,
So y'all just tell me what you wanna do.
Can you look at them now, get some prices, and then we
Mhm.
vote on it next time? Or about the tree, getting
Well,
the tree?
no, we can't
Well-
vote on it
Is it too
next
late?
time, cause we put the tree up
no,
the Friday after
basically what we
Thanksgiving.
need to do is say that we set the budget at
$41.
$41, and y'all can do whatever that buys.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do I have a second?
1 second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Think that's a good
I mean,
idea?
cause the artificial tree would be much easier on me and Andrea.
Okay. All right, the next item is since the community room is finished and operational for rental and, you know, pavilion hours and stuff, a lot of people are asking Rachel,
For 4-hour increments instead of 3, it's just easier. By the time they come in, set up, have a party, break down, they're past their 3 hours sometimes.
so I would be, but the only thing is like they, you have from, well, I mean, you could have from 10 to 2,
See,
right?
that was the problem, that's why we set it at 3, was trying to get 2 in per day. And if you do 4 hours, you gotta come in.
Well, you can get 2 a day in 4 hours.
But my only
No.
thing is, well, my only thing is we need to make sure that they in and cleaned up by 8 o'clock at night.
Mhm.
So that way that, you know, the guys can have time to clean up after, you know, in case, or empty trash cans and stuff, get ready for the next day. That's the only thing.
But in the wintertime, it's gonna have to be earlier than that.
Well, in the wintertime, and, summer hours before daylight saving times changes, 8 o'clock or,
That's what I
30
usually,
minutes before
that's what I
dark.
usually book to, 8 o'clock in the summer.
Right. And then in winter, it'd
It's
be,
like
you know,
5.
5 o'clock. So,
Yeah.
so like I say, they would need to be done by 4:30.
But here's another thing, here's another reason why you've got to put an hour in between these parties. Because you got one tearing down, but then you got the other one wanting to come in and set up.
No, I'm saying that you have to use that the last 30 minutes to tear down. I mean, they have to leave by 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whatever the option is. Now, like I say, now that's not, I mean, that's up to y'all. But anyway, the hours and the cost. You know, like I say, Brittany had said that they charge her $50 for 4 hours, I think it is, out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was just thinking before we start, you know, advertising the
What do
rental.
we charge now, 40?
Well, over there, is it 40?
40 for 3 hours.
I think if we're gonna go up to 4 hours, then it needs to be, I would say at least 55.
I think 50. I mean, I don't think, I mean, I don't wanna be no higher, cause they get 4 hours out there at the community room, so I don't wanna be no higher than,
And they pay 50 with a $50 deposit.
yes.
That's where I usually do my place.
Yeah, well, I'm the one that went out there and did this one, so I had to give them 2 checks, just like we require here.
Yep.
That's fine, if that's what, you know, that's what y'all wanna do. But I think it needs, I mean, what are you gonna charge here in the community room?
Be the same thing. I mean, $50 for 4 hours. I mean, just like out there, I mean, I don't wanna be no higher than out there. I mean, I still want it to be affordable for, you know, people to rent it,
Because you want them coming here.
Yeah,
Obviously going
you
there.
know.
So is that what you normally do? You do the $50 deposit plus the 50 and they get the 50
They're
back?
back, yeah.
Then I personally don't feel right charging $50 for that over there. Cause they're not getting heat and they're not getting air conditioning. And they're not getting a kitchen.
But they're getting, I mean, they're paying 40 for 3 hours and then 4 hours. So you're only adding $10 for that extra hour.
Well, I mean, whatever y'all wanna do, I mean, that's just my opinion. I just,
I mean, that's
Yeah.
all, I mean, I'm just asking, you know,
I just smile and take notes.
hmm?
I said, I just smile and take notes, so.
I mean, but consider that, I mean, in the wintertime, you are providing heat. I mean, I know they are out there too, but whatever y'all wanna do, I mean,
I mean, if somebody make a motion, whatever they wanna do.
okay. I'm gonna teach you girls how to make motions.
I'll listen.
I make a motion that we change the park and the community building to 4-hour increments at $50 and a $50 deposit. Can we require a bigger deposit on this building though?
I guess you could,
I mean, cause if they leave it the way it is, they're gonna get it back. But I'm just thinking, you know,
I wouldn't go over 75.
oh, no, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, I mean, and you ladies, we have people that put tape and pull the paint off the walls and put all those staples and everything in, and you have to go back and repair it. That's what I'm talking about. You know, there's a lot more to repair over here than there is over there.
How much is it now?
That over there is 40 and a $40 deposit over there. And it was the same here, but that was before we did all these upgrades. I mean, there's a lot of money tied up in this building.
Do you have anything that says that you're not allowed to put anything on the walls?
Yeah, but they're not paying attention. We have it over at the park, but they're not paying attention.
Has any of them not got their deposit back because of it?
We've had a few that have not. Cause the guys try to go over and check after a party, and, if it's in a mess, we don't send it back to them.
Maybe we should just be more,
Well, why don't we do $50 for 4 hours, but a $60 deposit on the building?
That works.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
That's okay.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Okay, the last item is the schoolhouse, checking account. It says, due to no activity for 6 months, status of your account is inactive. You must activate your account to avoid your account going dormant. So it says to activate this account, make a deposit or withdraw from your account or contact us.
Alright, the way Jesse and I and Carol and them always did it, we would go out there and withdraw $50 or $5 and then put the $5 back in, and that activates the account.
Okay. So I don't guess we need a motion, I mean, as long as they're doing.
I mean, you're just taking it out, putting it back in.
You have to have a separate account for that.
Well, because it was bought, well, it was a grant.
Well, part of that's the grant. Most of the grant money is in the CD, but it was done under the Retired Teachers Association, and we took it over, because they didn't want to do it anymore.
Okay, any other further business? Anything to add?
While we're on the school, could we please get, I would really, if I'm watching, I really would like to get Aqua Guard to come out and look at that school building. And just, I mean, they're not gonna charge us anything to give us an estimate.
Okay,
Is it like?
I have had 2 people go out there and look at it. One that worked on this building. He said you have to tear it apart to put it back together, because the one part's leaning one way, the other part's leaning the other, and
Well, then why do they show on TV that they just go under there and jack that stuff up and it just straightens it right out?
because it's only leaning one way. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you put one up on
these-
this side, one on this side, and do them at the same time, it should even them out.
No.
That's just my opinion, but something needs to be done or it's gonna follow it.
No, it's not. I mean, it doesn't look good, but that guy assured me it wouldn't fall.
Well, but my thing is, we need to stop up those windows, that water's going in those windows. So can we not do something,
Well,
put
I'll ask
plastic over them or something?
him- I'll ask the guy to see what,
I mean,
what he
my
recommends.
thing is just put plastic or something over it to stop that water from going in the building.
I'll ask him and see what he can do.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Have a second? Okay, so move.